Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Monday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields on television and radio and back in our American Metal Roofs studio. Find them at AmericanMetalRoofs.com. We're in the Gillespie Group Stadium District building on the Avenue of Michigan, just a couple of blocks from the Capitol, and invite you to come see us one of these mornings. We have a coffee house attached next door where you can get a cup of joe or a chai charger or whatever it is that floats your boat, a lobby with memorabilia, and, of course, the streets right out front here, where from time to time we take our act out onto the sidewalk. We've had a marching band out there. We've had a horse. We've had an elephant. And we've had one of those monster trucks every once in a while, too. And sometimes we'll go out there and do the weather, too. The weather was terrific this weekend. Temperatures were soaring up near 90, and so was the pollen in the air, wasn't it, for those of us who had puffy eyes all weekend. In any case, we're back from Grand Hotel, Mackinac Island, the Policy Conference. Carol Kane, the host of Michigan Matters on WWJ-TV in Detroit, columnist, too, for the Detroit Free Press, is back safely, too, downstate. How are you?
Good morning, Michael Patrick. Okay, big question for you. Yeah. Do you have any of your Ribas fudge left, or is it all gone by now?
I'm trying. Yeah, well, see, Dr. Christine's favorite is from the Murray Hotel for some reason. And so the flavors that Amanda Wall brought back were pumpkin, creamsicle, like orange creamsicle, and peanut butter explosion.
My personal favorite is kind of like the politics of the state. Let's call it Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. Wait a minute. It's all kumbaya after the policy conference, isn't it?
Well, it was kumbaya up there at the conference, but let's go back to the brass tacks of the real world, away from the horses and the fudge. And I think it's going to be interesting for Rick Snyder going forward here with education. I mean, the K through 12, the higher education, cost, the impact it's going to have on parents and students. There's going to be a lot of conversations here. So, yes, it really was a very positive, uplifting conference. I do have to say that I haven't heard so many positive, nice things. But I think, based on where we were coming from, anything would have been an improvement from the doom and gloom that we had last year at the conference.
Yeah, I thought that line by the UAW president, Bob King, was pretty funny when he said, Mark Brewer told me this speaking here is as close as I'm going to ever get to speaking at a Republican convention.
In fact, I sat down with Mark Brewer. I did a Michigan Matters show from up there, and I talked with Mark Brewer, and he told that story, too. He's like, hey, he had mentioned this to Bob King, thought it was kind of funny, and Bob told us the crowd as he stood up. And I had a chance also to talk to Bob King, and it was interesting to hear people's reaction because I think there's so much venomous talk when it comes to unions, and not that Bob didn't strike a very strong, bold stance on the pro-worker stance, but I think some people were really intrigued to hear him talk about it. And I also had a chance to talk with Mark Royce from GM about the upcoming auto talks, which, again, once we get away from the island and back to the real world here, the auto talks are looming and already starting up, and the question is how combative will they be? How realistic and pragmatic will the UAW, Bob King, and others? And it's not just Bob King. He has to sell it to his workers. So, boy, there's just so many different things out there looming right now.
I rode back on the ferry just by chance with John McCullough, the U.S. Senate candidate for the Republicans, the Oakland County Drain Commissioner.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him at all?
No, I had heard that, and I didn't get a chance to talk with him. Is he serious about this? Does he think he really has a chance? Because,
no, I think
again, Debbie Stabenow, boy, she has got so much money, and I don't know how vulnerable she is. I know the Republicans say she's very vulnerable, but I'm not sure he would play statewide. But what do you think?
Very low-key. Yeah. Very low-key fellow for whatever that's worth in politics in the modern age.
Yeah, well, the other name being thrown out there, and former co-workers of your over there at WJR was Frank Beckman. Did you hear that?
Yeah, we had some fun with him about that. I mean, you and I were together with Frank Beckman at that Kelly Rossman, John Truscott dinner at the Iroquois on Wednesday night, and that's where it kind of all got started.
Yeah,
and then Paul Egan picked
I'm
it
not
up
sure because the wine floating became a bigger thing.
I mean, we kept telling him, Frank, it all adds up. You lost 60 pounds, right?
Right.
Your contract is up in April, right? You got people telling you they'll give you money, which I personally heard myself.
Right.
But he's being a little coy about it. And I think he's going to pull a little Donald Trump, right, and let his name be floated as long as he can, or he's serious. And I'm not sure which it is because he won't say definitively one way or another. But there are a lot of people who say, what are you kidding? Does he have any idea what he's getting into?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to sit on air when you're, you have the luxury of air-conditioned studio to talk about things, and another to be out there on the road where you have to grip and grin and meet people and raise money, and it is grueling. I don't envy anyone who is actually brave enough to throw their hat in the ring to run for office, because it is not a content, happy situation. It is tough, it is grueling, and it's 24/7. If you really were going to run against Debbie Stabenow, sign away your life between now and then, because that's what it will take. It's going to take every free minute you have, calling on favors, calling on friends, doing things you may or may not like. But in politics is not a happy business. It is a bump and grind kind of an existence. So I don't know if he's ready for all that, or really thought it through, or just kind of going with the flow like Donald Trump did and get some nice headlines out of it.
Yeah, and in fairness, I was invited to dinner with Debbie Stabenow, Senator Stabenow, on Thursday evening. I'd never spent that kind of up-close and personal time with her. There was a small group of us, and she came on the radio with me, too, that morning, and she's been on this program many times, and you can't say that she doesn't work hard, because, as you know, if you go back through the years, 10, 20, 30 years, tireless worker, tireless campaigner, and a very effective fundraiser. She's got that grandmotherly thing going for her, too, don't you think?
Definitely. I think there aren't a lot of negatives as far as she doesn't have the personal baggage now that she dumped her husband, and that stuff is gone. She has been a tireless worker as far as she's been talking prescription drug prices and seniors. These are things that have resonated for years. This is not a Johnny-come-lately conversation to her in health care. She's been talking that. She's on the powerful agriculture committee, which I sat down with her, too, and she was talking that up, and it's the first time someone from Michigan has been in the leader position on that committee in decades and decades. I can't remember the last person, but it goes back decades. So she's got some good assignments. When Michigan has lost so much luster in Washington as far as lobbying and with changing of guards and other things that are going to be going on, she has some powerful positions, which when you have a changing of a guard, let's say someone beat her and went in there, you generally don't walk in and get these top assignments. It takes some time to build up your reputation and your lineage to get those things.
And her seat was right next to Barack Obama, too.
Yeah.
When he came to the Senate, and she always jokes, she said, I would have been nicer to him if I'd known he was going to be president. But she talked about how she thought it was pretty cool that when he was running for president, he'd come back and be sitting next to her. She seemed a little, almost starstruck by that. But I made a big mistake. A big gaffe, Mr. Cool here, trying to make conversation.
Yeah, really. What the guy who likes to go to the party and gets in? What did you do?
Yeah, here's what I did. We were talking. We didn't talk politics at the dinner. We talked about that, and I said, "Well, when you get home in Washington at the end of the night, do you watch political television?" And she said, "Yeah, I really do. Believe it or not, I was just there, but I still watch it." And I asked her who she liked, and she liked Keith Olbermann and Rachel Maddow, and we talked about all those shows, Hardball and whatnot.
Right.
And then I said, do you watch Piers Morgan? She says, oh, once in a while I see that. And then I said, have you seen Elliot Spitzer's show? And her face went cold, and she said, no, I've never watched that. And suddenly I made the penny dropped, as they say, when you think about the connection, how she might feel a little bit of discomfort at the thought of Elliot Spitzer, since her husband was kind of in the same boat as he was. And so we changed the subject as fast as we could. Stay with us after this break. A little bit more with Carol Kane. It's Michael Patrick Shields.